Taiyaki is a Japanese fish-shaped cake and is commonly sold in Japan as street food. Its name comes from how it imitates the shape of tai, or red sea bream. Tai are a symbol of good luck and good fortune in Japanese culture, and we're hoping for a little of that today as we try to make 2022 a year of snacking redemption. It's time for Japanese snacks right now on You Tried Dat! You Tried Dat! Japanese snacks. I'm Nick Nowak with my pal Shad Hancock.
Howdy.
Nick Agger.
Hello.
All right, guys. I need to get your official opinion here. I had this discussion earlier with my wife.
Great. Ready.
When it comes to pizza, brownies, bread, things like that, are you a person who reaches for a crust piece, right? So in a brownie, the edge piece. On a piece of pizza, let's say you're eating a pizza that's cut into squares, like they do in Chicago sometimes, an edge piece with crust, or do you want that middle piece without the crust?
I just had pizza tonight, actually, for dinner, but it was cut normal, like triangles. So that's...
Let's say you didn't have that option.
Doesn't apply. Yeah, that doesn't apply at all.
There's a crust piece and a plain like rectangle piece with nothing on, no crust. Which would you take?
I think my answer is I think with pizza, I want the crust piece because you use it as the handle. But with brownie, I probably would want the middle piece because it's like more moist and, you know.
Or bread. Bread, I mean, no one likes the crust on the bread, right? The end of the bread.
Yeah, I always end up like eating that like crust piece because my wife refuses to eat them. Even my daughter doesn't want them. So usually there'll be like a little tiny piece of crust, and I'll just like douche it in honey and shove it in my mouth or something like that.
You like the butt of the loaf?
Yeah, like the edges.
Yeah. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
I like crusts. I like the crust of the loaf of the bread. I like pizza crust. Like Chad said, not only is it functional because it's like the handle, but I think it tastes good. Usually, some pizza is shitty and with the crust. Like the only crust I think I'd rather not have is like if you ever get like Papa John's, it's got like a 3-inch band of like bread. It's just chewy ass bread.
Gross.
I like chewy
but other
crust,
than that,
actually, bready, chewy crust.
I don't mind it if it's flavored with something. Like deep dish pizza crust is awesome. However, for brownie, I guess I don't care that much. Probably the middle, because Chad's right. Sometimes the edges get kind of hard on a brownie, and I'd rather have like a soft all the way around brownie.
We do have that all edge brownie pan because my wife likes the edge piece. You know that one where it bakes it like an S shape. Yeah, but we never use it anymore because, spoiler alert, it's a gimmick thing and it kind of sucks at making brownies. So like the brownies don't come out right.
Yeah, I'm middle piece for almost everything.
Really?
Pizza for the brownie, yeah. So.
But you just said you like crust, like chewy crust.
Well, most crusts aren't that way. You know, that's why, like on pizza, like if it's a hard, crispy crust, no, not for it. But if it happens to be a pizza with like a very doughy crust, I would take that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you like your socks, Doughy?
My socks?
Or crusty?
I was like...
After you've been edging a while, do your socks are kind of crusty?
All right, ants. I'm not talking about aunts and uncles. It's not
no, we're not.
No, we're talking about pests.
We can if you want.
Yeah, I had an ant infestation this week. Basically what happened is it's been raining a lot in San Francisco. And when it rains, then the ants like come in from our backyard into our house. It happens every time it rains. We'll find some ants somewhere, usually just a couple of them wandering around the bathroom or something like that. But this time they found a jar of peanut butter that I had not quite closed all the way.
Ugh.
And I just like opened the cabinet above my microwave and, there's like just ants all over the jar.
How many ants are we talking?
Well, I didn't count.
Well, I mean, like, it's not just like, there must be 10 or 20 ants on here. You're talking like...
No, like 200 ants.
Okay.
Like you couldn't read the label of the jar. It's covered with so many.
No, I could. It wasn't that bad. But
And how big are they?
Ant size.
Well, because there's a very tiny little ants. Like when you
They're
see
very tiny.
ants that come through a crack, and they're like many, many, many. And then there's sometimes in our house we get like a big black ants.
Yeah, not like the giant fire ants or anything like that. They're like the tiny little ants. You can't even make out which part is the thorax and which part is the whatever the fuck.
Right.
But fortunately they only found the peanut butter, because I do have about over 20 jars of honey in there.
Oh.
That was a birthday gift from my brother. He got me 20 jars of honey for my birthday for some reason.
How long does honey last? Like, is that going to be good by the time you get there?
I think forever. Yeah, I think honey will survive the heat death of the sun. But but anyways, but it reminded me of like this time when I had probably like this worst ant infestation ever. This was back when I had an apartment, not my current place in San Francisco. Had this other apartment, and I traveled to India for work. So I was in India for like 4 weeks, and I said to my wife, we weren't married at the time. I was like, hey, could you stop by the apartment sometime and like check it out, make sure everything's okay, whatever. So she goes over there one day, and I get this picture just emailed to me, and she says, this is what was in your fridge. And Geiger, you remember, Novak, you probably remember too, from like when I used to live with you guys, that like I don't keep a lot of food in the fridge, and basically nothing in the freezer.
Right. 20, 30 jars of honey, that's it. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Big old pot of ant food.
My overflow honey is all I keep in the freezer. But so it's this picture. She had gone into the house or into the apartment, and she had opened the fridge and the freezer, and both of them, I shit you not, it was like just layer of black all through both of them of just dead ants. Where like there must have been something in the fridge, like scraps of food or something that I hadn't cleaned out, and they had all just marched into the fridge and the freezer for some reason, not been able to escape, and then just died. And this was like thousands and thousands of ants. Like it was like Novak described, where like it was a thick layer, like you couldn't even see the walls of the fridge, the walls of the freezer, anything like that. And she had to clean it out because like I wasn't going to be back for a couple more weeks. So, but that was just the start. It turns out like that was the worst incident. But from then on, for the rest of the time I lived in that apartment, which was like another year, I had ants every day. Like every day I would get up in the morning, I'd look in the tub, there'd be like half a dozen ants in my shower, just like waiting for me to take a shower with me, I guess. But then the one time I remember specifically was we had gone to gotten some bread from this bakery, like all these different fancy kind of like pretzel rolls and stuff like that. And they had just been in a loose box that I had put in the cabinet. And then we came back like a couple hours later, and my wife went to go get the box of rolls. She opens the cabinet, takes out the box of rolls, and like opens it up. And apparently the rolls are just all covered in ants. And she freaked out and like turned towards me and just like, without meaning to do so, launched the box of ants like directly at my face. And she's like, ants! I had to like matrix, like duck out of the way. And this like ants just scatter all over the ground, this like bread covered ants. So I always give her shit to this day about like throwing ants at my face intentionally.
Yeah, rightfully so. Did you frequently find ants on your crusty sacks?
That was maybe that's why I had the ant infestation. After all, was I used to have dreams actually.
What?
I used to have wet dreams about it. No, but when I lived in that place, it was so bad. It was like eating on my psyche that like sometimes I would have dreams that there would just be like the entire floor would be ants, like my blanket would change into ants, like stuff like that. Yeah, it fucked me up.
Well then, sounds healthy.
We once had, I don't know if you guys have ever had drain flies before, but
no.
So I didn't know what they were either, but like if you go for a long time without putting water down a drain, then they can form like lay eggs or something, and they look like gnats. And one of my daughters was like, yeah, in our bathroom, there's flies in there. And I was thinking this, like, it was in the summer. I thought there'd be like 2 flies flying around or something. I'm like, it's fine. Just go brush your teeth. She kept complaining. She was like, there's flies in the bathroom.
Just carried off out the window by a horde of flies.
And so finally I'm like, wow, get the fly. Like, I came storming in there. I opened the door, and it was like the ant thing, but just thousands of flies, like, all over. And I was like, ah! And so then you try to, like, that, and then you have to try to catch them by, like, putting vinegar, like cups of vinegar by the sink, and, like, they'll go in there and die or whatever. And eventually there was some product we buy and put down the sink, and it kills the eggs or whatever that's down there.
Why you just hadn't been using that sink?
We like moved
why
in.
is she brushing her teeth at a sink that you never
we
used?
like moved in, and there's a tub in there, and like no one ever was using the tub, and so I think, and we just weren't like running water in it occasionally, I guess. And so I think they're coming up to the old tub sink. Guy, you had pest issues?
Yeah, we used to get outbreaks of crabs. Have you guys ever had those? They just showed up in the house. They're all over the place. No, we'd had ants before, little small ant issues. We've had spiders. We've had we could tell I'll go into the bathroom and there'll like suddenly be a cobweb in the corner, and I'm like, huh? And there's like a spider hanging there, or like in our light fixtures in the bathroom, I'll look up and you can see like a dead spider carcass like inside the light bulb. But cool. Not like a ton. Yeah. The grossest thing we probably had was mice. We've had mice. We've seen mice droppings here and there, but we never saw the actual mice. And then when we got that cat, he killed like 3 mice his first week. I was very proud of him.
Wow.
Except the one time he was just playing with it and like clamping its teeth into it, and it was like squealing, and then he let it go to bat it around some more, and it like ran away. I'm like, you piece of shit. Go get that fucking thing.
Finish the job.
Finish him. He ripped his spine out. No, but he...
Fatality.
At our old apartment, when Betsy and I were living in Chicago, we'd have mice in there all the time. And I remember her coat was laying on the floor, and I thought there was like a big dust bunny on it, and I went over, and a mouse, we had lit some poison traps out, and the mouse had like eaten it, crawled onto her coat, and died. So me being a gentleman told her, like, oh, Betsy, go get your coat and just hang it up. And so she went over to pick it up and just started screaming and started cracking up because I'm an asshole. But so mostly mice, but not too much with bugs and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
had. I remember there was a mouse one time, and we were like, it was real close to bedtime, and we saw it like run across the room and like into some crack like by our fireplace. And my wife freaked out, and she's like, I'm not going to bed until that thing's caught. And I'm like, well, see you in the morning.
Enjoy your insomnia.
Oh, don't mind me. I just punched my fucking hand through the hole and ripped him. Get him. Quick, let me crust up this sack. That'll draw him out.
Let me lube up with honey and draw him right out.
But you did, then when you found the mouse, you just sort of batted it around and played with it, and then it got away from you.
I screamed at you, finish him! When we, I don't know if I told the story before, but when I used to work for my dad, he rented like 5 floors for his company from this guy, and the guy was like a crappy landlord, and the skylight was broken on the 5th floor, so like bats would fly in sometimes. And like my dad is like really, really hates creepy crawly stuff. So he sent me and my stepmom up to catch a bat and get it out of the 5th floor one time. So I remember it came at me, and I swung like with a broom, like a baseball bat, and I managed to pin it to the ground. I was actually really impressed.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, let's.
Wow.
So yeah, it was fucking one time in my life I looked cool, quote unquote.
Sure.
So I'm like, so I turned to my stepmom and I'm like, hey, get a dust. I was about to say like get a dustpan so we can sweep it in, and she goes, huh? And as she like, I see her coming over and just lifts her foot up and smashes it down on the broom, and I just hear crack. I'm like, oh. She grew up on a farm and stuff, so she didn't, give a crap about that stuff. But I almost threw up. So yeah, took care of that. She did what I wanted my cat to do, finish the job.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chad, you may have a future story about bears in your place coming after 20 jars of honey. So why did Dave send you 20 jars of honey?
That's a lot of honey to consume.
Yeah, he had. I think there's like a local honey place.
You seem also confused for the record.
Well, he's got a large collection of bees, and I think there's like a local honey place somewhere near him that like sells all these different kinds of honey.
Was going out of business.
And so he was like, he had texted me something like, "Oh, do you want some like local honey for your birthday?" And I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. I like honey. I thought it'd be like maybe 3 jars or something like that.
Famous last words.
It says Kirkland honey on the side.
And like, because we had famously gotten like a lot of honey whenever we would travel, right? Like I came back from Chile with like 3 jars of like local Chilean honey, stuff like that. Like we would always do that. But like, yeah, so I'm expecting like a couple jars, 2 boxes arrive at my door, like 2 different boxes. And like I cut them open and it's just like all these jars individually wrapped with like bubble tape, or not bubble tape, bubble wrap. Just bubble gum. He's like, dip this in your honey.
Can't imagine why you have ant problems. Jars of honey wrapped in sugary gum.
Yeah, he had packaged them like a pro. It was amazing. But I just kept like pulling back like layer and layer of bubble wrap, being like, "There's more." Like, why are there so many jars of honey? It's gonna take me like 10 years to go through these.
Let's eat some snacks. We've got 3 Japanese snacks. We rate them on a 5-point scale: love dat, like dat, indifferent to dat, dislike dat, and hate dat. And let's start with the Ariels. This is Aerial Cheddar Cheese. Those are the words we can read. There's a lot of other YBC is the company. There's a big number 4 and above a picture of it.
I think it's like 4 layers. If you look at the picture, there's like 4 folds of the thing.
Yeah. I can actually, so I know a little bit of Japanese. And I can actually read these characters right above the word Ariel. I actually can read those, and they say Ariel. Like, for real.
Not a help.
But I think that's all I can read.
So the outside, they're like rectangle-ish, and the outside looks bugle, kind of like a bugle texture.
Yeah.
But... yeah, it's like squeezed open almost. They're hard, but it looks like it's been squeezed open and dried. It's really hard. There's no other snack that we have that looks like this.
Kind of looks like a labia.
It looks like a clam, right? Like you have the 2 outer layers of the clam shell, and then the inside is like the lips of the clam.
Right. It's a little dirty looking, yeah.
But I mean, it's almost like layers like a croissant kind of has, right? Like. It's very light.
It's very bugly.
Yeah.
Not as oily as a bugle, but...
You can taste the cheddar cheese, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sure can.
Now, Novak. We're going to try to be more positive this year.
All right. Geiger.
All right.
Ariel.
So... I know what Novak's going to say. You took the original Ariel and you fucked with it. No, I'm kidding. He doesn't know what that is. I'm torn because I like the structure of the snack. Like it's unique and I like the consistency. It's like good crunchiness, but it's light still. It's not like heavy or like it's crispy and I like the mouthfeel and all that stuff. What I don't like is the cheddar cheese taste because it's bad. It's got a real bad aftertaste. You can definitely tell it's cheddar cheese. I'll give them that. Like if you had blind taste tested, you'd know they were aiming at cheese. It's got that very heavily processed cheese flavor.
We're going to aim at cheese, fellas.
This is either cheese or bubble tape. Which one? Probably cheese.
We have locked down to cheese. Target acquired. So I guess I'll split the middle and say indifferent to that. If it was a different flavor or the cheddar cheese was better, I would probably like this as an easy, munchable snack. But I just don't like the flavor.
All right, Chad.
So I've had this type of chip before, not like this specific brand, but this kind of like 4-layer whatever thing. Something called like frog chips or something. I think we got it at one of the H Mart or one of these Asian grocery stores or something. I like this form factor for a chip. I like that it is light but still crunchy. It's very easy to eat, like very poppable, that kind of stuff. You guys are right. The cheddar cheese, I think, brings it down a little bit for me. If this was another flavor, like this could easily get a Love Dat from me. Like, I think this has the potential to be really, really good. I actually still kind of like it. I'm not as negative on these as you guys are. I think it's still pretty good. I'm probably going to eat the rest of this bag. For me, this is a low level like that. I think they're all right.
All right. Gaga's right. They took the original Ariel.
From The Little Mermaid.
Right. They fucked with Ariel and had a wet dream. That's not right. That's a Disney character.
Yeah.
You
do you, man. I'm not judging you.
Look, you want to get a boner for a fucking tune? Go for it, all right?
Nah.
You're not Roger Rabbit.
No, that's one thing I never quite understood is like hentai porn and like
yeah, I want my tentacles to be real life, not animated.
Exactly.
There was this guy I worked with. He was like a delivery driver for my dad. He was insane. He would almost get like as he was driving, he would play with his Tamagotchi and almost get in accidents all the time. But cool. He was like, yeah. And so I would ask him, like, I was trying to talk to him one time, like, what are you going to college for? He's like, computer science. I go, like, oh, why, what do you want to do that? I want to make hentai. And I didn't know what that was. And so I go, real matter of fact, then I go, hentai? Like, I didn't know what it was. And he goes, like, tentacle porn. I was like, what the fuck? And then he showed me a picture of it. I'm like, God, no. You have to go to college to do that?
Here's the only time I've seen hentai porn in real life was when I was with Chad. Moving Chad's mom out of her house. And I think maybe your brother had some old comics when he was younger or something.
It was like
my mom's stash of hentai. Was that
what Here's why I distinctly remember this moment was because we had taken it down and our friend Chemnitz, I think it was like looking through it. And you were reaching up for another box. And you were Chad was standing on a chair, and the chair literally fucking broke straight down the middle, and he smashed to the ground. The hentai went flying. Everyone knows.
That was also the day one of our friends came up with the worst lie of all time. He called out sick of work so he could help you move, but he had pretended he was going to the White Sox World Series game. So he had to try to track what happened in the game so he could talk about it if necessary. And he's going, how long would it take me to get out of the parking lot? I don't want to show up too quickly. I'm like, why did you pick such an easily checkable fact?
Anyway, so
just tell him you're at the World Series of Hentai. It's
Did I say the White Sox game? I meant the crusty White Sox.
Oh, that tentacle's calling it shot, pointing towards the right bleachers, and it's fucked a girl. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she bleaches hers, but hey, here all night.
Boy.
Plenty more hentai comedy where that came from. So the Ariel, they aren't. I agree that I could give them a like that if they were bugle flavored, but to me, this is how bad the cheese is that it's bringing it all the way down to a dislike that. It's a very, very off-putting cheese flavor. So wait, Gag, you gave it dislike, right? I forget.
He went indifferent.
I went indifferent.
Oh, indifferent. All right, we're split. A like and indifferent and dislike. So no agreement on this one. Next, we're going to save the fish for last. So let's go next to the Calbee is the brand. Jagarico Original.
And I'm not shitting you, but this text directly above the thing says Jagariko.
Now this actually has some English on the back to help us. It says Jagariko, a crunch elevated potato snack that's crunchy on the outside and crispy inside. The secret is pairing hearty potatoes with real bits of carrots and parsley. You want to compare your potatoes and carrots.
I mean, they look like veggie straws, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or like
What is
French
the difference between crispy and crunchy?
I was wondering that as you read it. I'm like, aren't that kind of the same thing a little bit?
Crunchy on the outside, but crispy on the inside.
At least it's not crunchy on the outside, but crusty on the inside. That would be bad.
It's hard on the outside and not soft on the inside.
Don't worry, the sack's only crusty on the outside. Oh, wait, it's crusty on the inside too.
Oh, this this package is honey on the inside, bubble tape on the outside. This doesn't even make sense.
So these are, it's almost like a knockoff, like veggie straw. It's much smaller, and it's not hollow. I'd say it's actually about the size of like the candy cigarettes we ate. It's like about that big.
Yeah.
And you can see little bits of orange for carrots, and I guess the parsley is the green. So
They're not making a crunchy, crispy joke, but they are like crunchier than like a veggie straw. Like they're not as soft.
Yeah.
Much so. Yeah.
Actually, Chad, what do you think?
This is kind of tough. They're a little plain. I feel like. I think this is the kind of snack that would benefit from a sour cream and onion seasoning on it, or something like that. Or maybe these would actually be really, really good dipped in some kind of like ranch or some kind of like, sour cream dip, something like that. Then I could see these being really, really, really good. I was trying to decide if I wanted to give them a like that. I mean, they're fine. Like, I could snack on these things, but I just wish there was a little more flavor. I think I'm just gonna squeak them into indifferent. Very high indifferent for me, though. I think these are pretty good.
I think they're good too. I prefer these to actually a veggie straw. They feel a little less processed. That probably isn't true, but
yeah,
it tastes more vegetable-ish to me than an actual veggie straw. I agree they could use a little more flavor, and that even could just be like a heavier salting. But I could definitely eat these. I think the description is accurate. The flavor is good. I'm going to give it a very solid like that. Geiger?
They're okay. I mean, they taste very much like a baked potato. Like it does. That's all I taste is a baked potato. I don't taste the carrot. Well, I guess I don't know what I would taste from parsley, but I like the form factor better than I do veggie straws. I agree there. But you hit it on the head for me, Novak, when you said it just needs to be saltier or something. They're so bland. It just tastes like you're eating like a little bit of buttered potato from the middle of a baked potato, which is not a bad thing to eat, but it's like that's not a snack to me. I don't know. I'm gonna go indifferent again. These are fine. They're just they're just aggressively innocuous. They're just kind of there to me. There's not that much. There's no real strong flavor. They don't taste bad. They just don't taste great. I think Chad's right. This is something that would be good for like dipping into like a dip. I don't know why I hadn't had to fucking clarify that.
Do you like these more or less than the cheddar thing? Because you gave indifference to both.
Yeah. I will say more just because I think the cheddar cheese taste is bad from that other thing. But yeah.
Got it.
It's funny, these do like legit taste like a baked potato. Like when we've had
they're kind of buttery.
baked potato flavored chips, that's like you could tell it's like a factory produced baked potato flavoring, whereas this actually really does taste like it. Okay, so they are in the lead by just a hair. And we'll see if the tacky can defeat it after the segment. Chad?
Dat.
Nice.
All right, so it's time for it's time for Dis or Dat. So this is where
crispy
I give you
or
guys
crunchy.
I give you guys two things, and you have to decide between those two things. Now, the theme this time, guys, as you know, right now, today,
Today,
it is
Now.
2022. You guys
It
know
is.
this.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is the year with the most twos that we will have in our entire lifetime. Did you know that?
I mean, it stands to reason. I
That
guess.
checks.
You don't know about medical advancements. Maybe you'll freeze my body and I'll reawaken in 2020, 22.
They're not freezing
Probably
your
not.
body. If they have bodies to freeze, it's not going to be yours.
They'll preserve me in the 20 jars of honey in your fridge.
What is this pear-shaped ice cube over here?
They're just unwrapping this mummy, and the mummy's covered in bubble tape, just coming out all sticky.
So this is all the categories here for this dis or dat are themed with two. So I'll show you what we mean by that. So first, one of the foods that I thought of that with the number two, the twice baked potato, and we were actually just talking about baked potatoes there. So this dis or dat, do you prefer a regular baked potato or the twice baked? Novak, what do you say?
I'm going to say the twice baked. The reason being is that it feels like a treat because I'm too lazy to generally make it at home. And so when I get to have it, it tastes great. And I don't get like sick of it because I'm not, having a bunch of them. So I'm going to say twice.
Geiger, what do you think?
Nice spot on the twice baked Novak. I agree. Like originally, I thought, well, but the baked potato, you can load it up with like a baked potato bar, like cheese and sour cream and bacon.
That's
but
right.
You can do that on a twice baked potato too. Just dump it on top.
Right.
Or
Carrots,
put it-
parsley. all of
Carrots,
this.
parsley, Jagarico. So yeah, you could just make that part of the mix. So yeah, I agree with Novak. I don't eat them as often because they obviously take longer to make, but they're delicious. They're creamy. They're potatoey. That's a no-brainer.
I think the case for baked potato, I actually have never made a twice baked at home. I think it sounds hard, right? But like a baked potato's pretty easy to make. You can make it at home. But if you go out to like a nice steakhouse, the twice baked is always going to be better than the baked potato. So I think that's going to seal the deal for me for the twice baked as well. All right, moving on to the next one. A movie from one of my favorite franchises with a number 2 in it. I'm talking about Too Fast, Too Furious.
There we go.
So let's see. Where do you guys? There's a famous feud from those movies, which is The Rock and Vin Diesel. They hate each other in real life. So where do you come down on The Rock versus Vin Diesel? Geiger, we'll start with you.
Thank God you did not ask about characters feuding.
No.
I was worried about that. I'm like,
Yeah, I knew you hadn't. I knew you didn't know anything about it.
Tyrese Gibson's character and blah, blah, I mean, again, another no-brainer for me. I watched wrestling in college. The Rock has provided me 1,000 times more hours of entertainment than that walking mope. I guess he's just a mope that has legs, so yeah, he's walking. Vin Diesel is just kind of a pud. He's been in some decent movies. I have nothing against Vin Diesel, but
I mean,
The
he's
Rock
Groot.
just seems like a better person, like a more charismatic actor. He's bigger, stronger, faster, balder. Well, they're equally bald, I think. I would probably take The Rock easily.
Let me make a little case for Vin Diesel here, which is
Okay.
any movie that The Rock is in, he is just one character, right?
Right.
Like there's zero range there.
I forgot when Vin Diesel played Hamlet.
Well, he was in like Saving Private Ryan, and
Sure.
he was in like Pitch Dark or whatever that Pitch
Yeah.
Black, whatever that
Pitch
movie
Black,
was. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
So
kind of a
soldier,
different character.
badass drag racer, badass guy.
He's Groot, right? Badass tree, but at least it's different kinds of things.
Groot. He just says I am Groot 8 different ways into a microphone and calls it a day. That wasn't him.
And The Rock has made a lot of. I love The Rock, but he has made a lot of really,
True.
really bad movies.
Right.
But having said that, I still would prefer to go see just any generic Rock movie than Vin Diesel. So I'm with you. I will take The Rock. Novak, what do you think?
Yeah, I remember when Pitch Black came out, and I saw it and thought, oh, that actor's cool. Like, it was a cool character.
That was a good movie, too.
And then, man, like, time has not, like, everything, it was all downhill after that. Here's the difference of why I like The Rock. Is I think The Rock fits his characters because he is a legit, real world badass, right? He's an actual, like, tough dude.
Yeah.
Who could probably really beat everybody up. And Vin Diesel is like a Hollywood tough guy. So I'm going to take The Rock.
I will say The Rock is bordering on grotesque. Like, he can stop the steroids now. He looks disgusting.
He looks nasty now, still handsome, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next one. Famous saying with the number 2, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. This is referring to something to do with Paul Revere, lanterns getting hung, British, I don't know, whatever, who gives a shit. Mm-hmm. So, where do you guys come down on the land versus the sea? Novak, we'll start with you.
I don't care how hung Paul Revere was, but it's all about the land.
Now, there's no ants in the sea. Let me point that out.
The land is where all my stuff is.
Yeah.
Most of my time is spent on land. So sea specifically, because I'm not on a sea very often.
When was the last time you were on a sea? Have you ever been on a sea, actually?
Admiral Novak over there.
The high seas, no. I've had more high sea than been on the high seas. Definitely not. I would, if I had to be a pirate or even just work scrubbing the deck on a boat, I would be incredibly seasick after like a week. Mm-hmm. If I had to have like a shrimping job or something like that. I'm gonna take, if I had a shrimping job, I'm gonna take land.
All right, Geiger, what do you think?
No, one minor point in C's favor is that if you are into hentai, that's where all the underwater sea creatures with the tentacles live. So you can get right up and close and personal to that if you're into that kind of stuff. Maybe they can, like, I don't know, choke you while you jack off. I don't know what you do with it. You could do that on land, though, I suppose, too. So,
yeah.
Look, we kind of covered this in the superpowers, like where water powers are not as good because all the crime happens on land. All of the stuff in life happens on land, other than like boating and jet skis, which jet skis are great. Should be noted.
Are great.
Although I don't know anyone that jet skis in the sea. Probably it's probably too deep a water to be. Remember, like when I jet skied all the way over to England.
We did also cover in superpowers, though, that you would miss out on the chance of saving Captain Phillips.
That's correct. Yeah, that is your primary duty, is just making sure Captain Phillips is safe from pirates.
Every time he opens the fridge on his boat, it's covered with ants.
God damn it! I'll take land as well.
Okay. Well, I do think in general, like, the sea is a very fascinating place, right? Like the unexplored depths of the ocean or whatever. But it's also, like, when you think about it, kind of boring as fuck. So I'll also go with the land. Okay. Moving to instruments like the tuba, do you guys take the brass section or the woodwinds section? What do you got, Geiger?
I will take woodwinds because I played one. I played alto saxophone. So it's a reed instrument, which makes it woodwind, I think. And I enjoyed it. Nothing beats a nice sax solo. Now, a lot of the brass is annoying, like trumpets blaring. No one wants to hear that shit. Or like trombones, they're a pain in the ass. But I mean, it's better than like a clarinet. Those are squeaky sounding as shit. Or like you ever like hear those old like plastic recorders they give like really little kids? It's like a dog whistle, basically learning how to play it. It's terrible. So
yeah, those are woodwinds, though, right?
Those are woodwinds, right? So that's a point against it. So I'm going to stick with what I know, the old saxophone, and go woodwind.
All right. What do you think?
I'll get one for the other side. Whenever I think of woodwinds, do you guys have to, when you were younger, watch this old Peter and the Wolf cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where they did like, now here's the wolf. He'll be played by the oboe.
Yeah.
After that moment, I gave up on woodwinds forever.
Was Peter Rabbit played by like a trumpet or something?
Peter Rabbit did not appear in Peter and the Wolf.
Oh, it wasn't Peter Rabbit and the Wolf.
No, it was oboe and the fucking whatever.
Yeah,
that's what. It was.
Right. But it was part of that could be is that my music teacher at the time played the hentai version, which is a little bit different.
The wolf sprouted tentacles. Oozed all over someone.
The wolf's bouncing jugs will be played by the piccolo.
Bouncing jugs. This gets super vulgar all of a sudden. The wolf's going to be slanging that cock around. You guys ready? All right, here's the timpani.
So brass.
And Peter's spiky penis will be played by the trombone. I did play trombone back in the day, but that's not the reason I'm going to pick brass. I think most of the woodwinds are kind of annoying. You mentioned recorders, but also flutes.
Yeah,
very annoying. But you've got the tuba. Brass has tuba, which is like the coolest thing ever. Like, right? It's just like really fun to like kind of walk down the street like making tuba sounds to yourself.
Yeah.
So for me,
COVID's been really hard on you, man. Huh? Just getting bored over there.
So for me, it's going to be the brass. All right. Here we go. Another movie-based one. Dis Dat or the other one. You got three choices here. Do you want The Fellowship of the Rings, The Two Towers, or The Return of the King? I'll go first on this one. I think Two Towers is the best of these movies. It has the best fight scene out of all of them, which is the Helm's Deep. And the other ones kind of drag a little bit. So I'm going to go Two Towers. Novak, what do you say?
I like the third one. I like Return of the King. I know the end is very long and drawn out. Mm-hmm. But it has some great scenes, and it has the line of the entire trilogy, mm-hmm. which is when I don't know.
Which is when Frodo says, "My spiny penis will be played by the two." That line,
which is when Aragorn comes too fast, and it goes. This is when he says, "You bow to no man." Mm-hmm. To me, that's mm-hmm. the line of the trilogy. I love that part. So I'm going with part 3. Geiger, you have any?
Have you seen these movies, Geiger?
Yeah, no, I've seen all of them. They're all good.
You have any argument for the first one?
No, not really. I mean, it's a fine movie. You know, Thou Shalt Not Pass and all that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll pass.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think all of them are good. I was actually wondering, like, what was like? It's been so long since I've seen it. I was trying to like try to define the differences.
What happens in each one?
Yeah, I would say I'm right up with Novak until the point, and you touched on it. That last one would probably be my favorite if it just ended like 45 minutes earlier, like than it did. Like the multiple, like they finally do the battle, and they have to stand on a boat and whinge with each other for like 15 minutes. Like, we get it. It's done. Just stop.
Yeah.
So, and they took that same instinct, and I thought really stretched out the Hobbit movies. The Hobbit, like the first half of that first Hobbit movie is them like making breakfast. I'm like, hurry it the fuck up. Yeah. So, yeah, the Twin Towers is a good one because you've got like. Is that what it's called? The Two Towers. Sorry.
Oh boy.
I'll never forget that movie.
Oh boy. Oops. No, but you've got like Legolas and Gimli like going back and forth with each other and counting and marks and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And you've got Aragorn coming too quick, like Novak mentioned, and like all the good stuff. So yeah, you've got Galadriel taking it Helm's Deep. No, why am I doing this? I'll take the second one.
You got Saruman played by the bassoon. It's all good.
Saruman.
And Gandalf comes at dawn. Okay, last one here. What do you guys got? 2 girls or 1 cup? Geiger, you're up.
So wait, so I'd rather have 2 girls or a cup, and I'm presuming the cup is full of shit?
Could be chocolate ice cream. We don't know.
Pretty sure it's not.
Is this before or after taping?
Right.
Yeah. Let's say it's an empty cup.
Okay.
Is this before or after bubble taping?
It's an empty cup.
Wait a minute. So it's an empty cup or 2 women?
Yeah, those 2 women.
Right. I guess I'll take an empty cup then.
Specifically those 2.
I mean, if there's choices, 2 dirty porn stars or an empty cup, I guess I could use a cup around the house. So I'll go cup.
Mm-hmm. Novak, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. If cup is empty, right. I know what they did. Right. I knew what they did last summer, so I'm not interested in those 2 women in particular. So I'm gonna go with cup.
They seem like nice girls and all, but
yeah, I'll take cup. All right, great.
Okay, it's time to.
Speaking of the sea, let's eat a fish.
Yeah, it's time to eat the old taiyaki. This is Meito is the company, Meito. I feel like we've had some stuff by them before, a thing or two. I think it's a pretty big company in Japan. So this is, when doing that research on the taiyaki, it's just all different kinds of fish-shaped cakes. And this is one variety of it. Now on the front, it is very pink. And Chad, if you can use your deciphering skills, can you tell us what flavor this is supposed to be?
Well, there's a picture of strawberry.
Yeah.
So I think the flavor is strawberry.
I'm smelling it. It definitely smells like a standard candy strawberry flavor.
It is a very pink. It looks exactly like the picture on the front.
This is enormous, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's crunchy on the outside, but crispy on the inside, which is interesting.
No, there's actually cream on the inside.
Yeah.
This is literally like Novak sock.
Who do you guys like from The Hobbit? Thorin Oakenshield?
Meh.
I mean, you just named one character I probably remember. Smaug, does he count? I like Smaug.
I like the Stephen Colbert cameo. That's my favorite character from those movies.
Isn't there some guy that, like, owns the river or some shit? Like, he's on a boat? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's Tuif Baisi is his name.
And he's played by a drum.
So the outside is just like a pretty hard wafer. The inside is not. It's hard to tell exactly. It's not like cream.
It's hard when you touch it, but then like it dissolves immediately in your mouth, and then tastes kind of like cream.
I feel like those wafer cookies that you have, this is similar, but there's a ton of the stuff, and I don't feel like the cream's exactly the same. It looks very like porous when you look at it from the side, but then when you push it, there's a bit of a mushy give to it. Look at the ingredients here. The first one is lactose, Geiger, so...
Great. I'm going to make a Smeagol in my toilet.
Geiger's ass will be played by the trombone.
Geiger's ass will be played by a whoopee cushion.
And Elrond will be played by Mr. Smith.
When it comes to Geiger's ass, it's the smell.
It's the smell.
They should have had him taking the place of Fauci to say COVID is a virus.
You know what the first symptom is? It's the smell. You lose it.
That's awesome.
You lose it.
That would actually probably like play right into the conspiracy theories, though. Like, it's all part of the Matrix, man. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm first to rate this thing. I had a bit higher hopes because seems like the type of thing I would like. But the middle, there's too much of it. It's too thick, and the mouthfeel of it is pretty gross, actually. Because it's confusing. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it should have more of a give or a chew or something to it, and it's not working. I actually think the wafer on the outside is decent, tastes fine. I'm going to give this kind of a low-level indifferent because it's not awful, but I would not reach for this again. There might be a flavor of this that I would like, but I'm not sure that the strawberry is it. So a low-level indifferent. It's still in the game because the lead snack only has a liken to indifference. So, Geiger.
Yeah. I was expecting it to taste like fish. I was pretty let down. But then Chad pointed out helpfully that there's strawberries right on the front.
Yeah. But the text right above the strawberry does say fish in Japanese, so I can see why you would think that.
Yeah, I knew that too. I'm with Novak. The consistency's strange because you're biting into it and your tongue hits that cream part and you think it's cream, but it's really just softer wafer, if that makes sense. It's also way too big. Like, we don't need this much of it. Like, if this were like small poppable wafers, like little like rounds or something, I think those would be better. As it is, I ate the whole thing. And it's too much. Like, it's just
it's way too big. I ate it all.
Well, I wanted to give it a fair shake. Much like Return of the King, I should have stopped halfway through. I'm torn. I'm going to slightly make it a high level dislike that. It's not terrible. I just, the more it's sitting on my tongue, the aftertaste is bad because it's just that artificial, like, strawberry flavoring that isn't great.
All right, Chad.
The form factor thing is the problem, right? Like, it's one thing if it's like as thick as it is, like, that's fine, but then don't make it like so fucking wide. You know, because you take a bite and just stuff goes everywhere. I don't think another flavor of this would work for me. It's, I don't know, something about, like Novak said, the mouthfeel is just a little weird to me. I don't think it has a very good aftertaste either. So yeah, this thing sucks. Worst snack of the night. I'm going to give it a solid dislike that.
Okay, so by nose, it's the... I gotta look at the name again. The old Jagarico snacks, and I think rightfully so. For me, they were my favorite. And Geiger, I think, agreed. Chad did like those cheddar cheese pieces, but I think these snacks were all sort of middling in general.
Yeah.
But I recently got a shipped package, and we should tell you there's some possible home runs coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I think we were really put down by the results last year, and so we're bringing our A game this time around. Geiger, where can the listeners contact us?
Or our game, as the case may be. R stands for Reese's. Go ahead.
If you are that guy I used to work with at my dad's place, and you're now like fabulously wealthy, sitting atop your hentai throne, hey man, good for you. I'm glad you made it. My subscription is overdue if you don't mind renewing it. If you are a big Lord of the Rings fan, if you're a Gimli head, if you love Gandalf, the white or the gray, either one, tell us which one you like better, or I don't know, Aragorn or some such shit. If you like the sea, if you're a big sea fan and you really want to sell this on the sea and all the sea's benefits and features, like especially if you're Captain Phillips, I would imagine you're well positioned. Although, to be frank, it sounds like your entire sea existence is just constantly being boarded by pirates and ants. So you can reach us at youtrydat@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, hashtag #YouTriedThat. We have a Facebook group, You Tried That. We're also on Instagram and YouTube. We would love it if you could ask a question for the mailbag. Let us know what you thought of our ratings, suggest some snacks. And if you can, and you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review. Give us some stars wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. We'd greatly appreciate it. And thanks as always for listening.
Now, our friend Brian Gaudio, who listens on occasion, once casts us all as characters from Lord of the Rings. Geiger, were you Gandalf?
No.
Just because of the scraggly beard, maybe?
Right.
I want to say Dan was Gandalf. I know Kurt, another listener, was Gimli, and I was cracking up.
He is stocky,
yeah,
a la Gimli. Yeah,
I don't remember who I was.
One of you was Boromir. I remember that.
Who's Boromir?
Sean Bean, right?
Yeah, Sean Bean dies in the first.
Who becomes an asshole and dies? It was probably
yeah. I was Frodo. I remember that much.
Nice.
But which character? Let's say you get to travel back in time, change time, but you play one character all the way through. Who would you want to be?
Wait, travel back in time? You mean because Lord of the Rings happened in the past in our current world? Is that what you're saying?
I think he meant in the movie.
Oh, I was like,
it's not a historical
back
drama.
In time and be Frodo, and when that happened.
No, Peter Jackson cast you in.
Oh.
Go back into Middle Earth, which actually happened, and live out one of their lives.
Well, I definitely don't have like the swag or alpha-ness to be Aragorn, so I'm not even gonna try to be that. Like, I'd probably end up being one of those like. If I had to be one of the main characters, I'd probably be one of those like loser other hobbits, right? Like Pippin or some shit.
Merryweather.
You get to pick a good one.
But I'm saying like
shit, you're not being cast as any of them.
Yeah, they would fire me like immediately.
You get to choose.
And yeah, if they were gonna cast me, they'd probably cast me as like one of the trees that doesn't have any lines. If I got to pick, I'd probably pick Gandalf because I always thought he was like the coolest, right? Like he just seems like such a badass. But
let's cast that kid in the Far Side shirt as Gandalf.
You shall not pass. It's just cracking.
You think you'd get cast as a tree without lines, so they would CGI your face on a tree and just have you stand there?
If somebody no, like the trees that like help them out at one point, like the living trees. If they don't have lines, you're not doing anything. It's entirely a voice acting. There's not real people in a tree suit. Yeah, it's like CGI. I think they would cast me as the guy to like write the CGI for the tree.
There's one tree walking around with a huge dumper.
Just flipping through hentai while the rest of them are battling the orcs.
They're having this really serious battle thing, and you hear, you look over, you're unwrapping a Reese's cup and eating it. I guess, I mean, yeah, like my ideal self, I'd want to be Aragorn because he's badass, but we all know I'm not. Mm-hmm. But I'm not. Like, I don't want to, I'm too lazy to like climb to the mountain and throw the thing in there. I'm like, just give it to someone else. I don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
That's exercise and shit.
Who stays at home? Who stays in the Shire all the
time? Like, is there like a baker in the Shire who just makes bread all day? I might. You're
a bit of a Gollum.
Thanks, man. My precious. I'm just rubbing my like Aaron Rodgers jersey. I would probably, you know what? I could see Legolas. This seems like a fun character, at least. Like you're zipping around, you're shooting arrows, you're light on your feet, you got pointy ears, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think probably I would be Arwen, so I could make out with Viggo Mortensen.
I could see that.
Very nice, very nice.
And actually, I'd probably pick Frodo. I like Frodo. I think he's a good character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's I guess the main character.
You'd be like the tallest hobbit on Earth. Like you'd be towering over everybody. Oh, look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the elf or whatever, just walking around.
Look, there's gotta be some hobbit that's bigger than the rest. I mean, humans have varying sizes.
Like all the shots are Samwise like next to someone's knee.
Yeah, Gollum's trying to get the ring from you, and you're just holding it above him like a toddler trying to jump for it. Like, come and get it, come and get it. Now, if you were going to go back in time and cast yourself as one of the girls of the cup, which one would you pick? Cup? Okay, cup. Cups all around?
Cup.
Frodo will be played by the flute, and it just as I stand up and get taller and taller over the rest of them. Oh, okay. Well, let us know what character you would be from Lord of the Rings. Somebody sent us that. We will lead with that knowledge.
Kurt, would you be Gimli? Let us know.
Gaudio, would you be an orc?
All right. Well, that'll do it for this time. We'll be back next time. We're trying out 3 brand new songs.
Deuces.
Yep.
You bow to no one.